This is called diving into a garden tour video. She's starting to kind of shoot runners all over the place. So I don't know if she's gonna be too long for this bed. She wants to, kind of feel like she wants to spread her wings a little bit. This little plant right here has been doing excellent. All of this is pretty much new growth. You can see right in here, from about here all the way to the top there is all new growth. And these are some really pretty purple flowers. The OG dogwood in the house. Old dog here seems to like his leaves real kind of crinkled up. You see that? So I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be or if he's not happy we're here, but I kind of like the crinkly leaves. I don't even know what these are. They seem to be doing okay. I don't like touching them too much because I feel like they're going to give me paper cuts. But I did get my first pair of gardening shears. Just a cheap old pair. And this actually reminds me of an opportunity. I saw some dead plants in here, so maybe we can use these guys. Everyone ready for the big snip? Well, come on, give me something to snip here. It turns out I actually can't believe it myself, but it turns out the anticipation was all for nothing, and we didn't even get to use our brand new snippers. Oh man. Hold on, smell this with me. It wasn't as good as before. Do you ever notice with plants that sometimes that flower will just kind of throw its scent into your nose, and then even if you go back right after that and go for the scent, you can't quite get that that full aroma that it gave you just a moment ago. I kind of think of it as the plants are speaking to you as you walk by them, but maybe that's just my loony mind, right? Let's make our way to my best growing plant of the whole tour. The best growing plant that I've got so far is whatever. Let me see if I can find a name. I can't find a name, but it's whatever this one is, with the pretty purple flowers. With such a delicate little scent they have. Anyways, let me give you a good look in here, because I want to show you all of that bright green, every bright green, and yeah, it goes all the way up like that. All of that is new growth. I'm not claiming this is some, fantastic mystery or something like that. I'm not claiming that I'm a master gardener or anything like that, but this just happens right here to be the plant that's just kind of, ever since I put it into the ground, it just kind of, took off into the air. So before we continue the garden tour, let's take a pit stop. Let's repot these raspberry plants and just kind of find a spot for them. And then let's go ahead and grab that sage over there, and we'll do a live plant moving. It'll be the first fully dynamic replanting inside the forest garden as well. And I'm so glad you're here for me with it. Can you see that little guy? Right on the card there? Can you see him? Run away, buddy. Just saying hello. Enjoying hanging out beside the raspberry plant. I hate to say this, but I'm about to move these guys. If you want to tag along on board, you're welcome to. Alright, just hang on. See him crawling up the stick over there? He really is hanging on. Alright. Did good, buddy. You hang out there with the camera while I get this other plant. For these ones, I'm not going to stick them in a pot or anything like that. I'm just going to dig them up, stick them in my bucket for a second. You hear a little bit of the root snapping as I pull it out. That's kind of the thing that you don't want, but you're going to lose a little bit of the root structure. But what you're really going for is this nice big ball, and as long as you have that, you should be good to go. So let's put you guys together in here. This has turned into a whole little side video. Maybe spruce them up a little bit. And to be honest, that's kind of why I got into this whole gardening thing, is so I could move things around, I could test things in different spots, and that's just one of these examples right here. So we're going to see how this Mexican sage likes it over on this side of the garden, and yeah, I'll keep you updated on that. But let's get back to the actual garden tour now. I'm going to show you my second best growing plant of the bunch. This one right here. Just pretty little purple flowers. And this thing really started out as maybe these two stalks right here, maybe a third one in there. And then look what it's done. I mean, it just keeps vining out and crawling all over the place. I just love that about this thing. This is my avocado tree. This guy, I think I'm gonna add another, give it a little bit more support and put a little tie in there. Maybe I'll grab that in just a second and do that with you. But it's grown quite a bit. I would say when we started, when we planted it, it was maybe down here somewhere. And I mean, you can see how it's gotten at least a foot or so on it. The smoke tree right here. And some of these spider webs out of here. I kind of feel like some of these sprouts are new, so maybe it's sort of expanding a little bit on the outside. This might actually be the second biggest grower in the bunch, although the Purple Queen over there is definitely giving it a run for its money. But this one right here, this, let's see, this is a canna right back here. This thing has just taken off. It's grown probably 2 feet. This whole sprout right here, that's a whole brand new baby. And then the other part of this plant was about there when it started. And it just keeps getting taller and taller. And the cool thing about this is that I always see these little cylindrical kind of tubes popping up. And eventually what's going to happen, probably, you know, it'll surprise me in the next few days, but it'll eventually unfold and become one of these leaves. And this thing, I think I got one of them in my greenhouse video. This has actually had, I think, 3 nice white flowers for me to enjoy so far. They usually just come for a day and then they disappear. You can still see one of the little leaf or little buds. Similar to the paper cut plants. I just like the look. I like kind of the chivy onion look. And I just thought these would give a nice little bit of texture to the garden, so that's where these got thrown in over here. You see these spiral little things shooting out? I just find that so interesting. It shoots out these little tiny spirals. See that one coming out the ground right there? Before we move on to the next bed, let me go grab a little bit of twine, and we're going to twine up that, what did I call it? That avocado tree over there. When I initially supported it, it took off in growth, and then right at the top, it almost, where I stopped supporting it, it almost, you know, kind of stopped growing. And I don't know, I'm going to try a little experiment and see if this little added extra support will give it the security to kind of spring up maybe another foot or so for me. Logs look like totem poles, but inside of here is these really cool vining plants that I haven't seen any flowers. There's these nice, I think they're orange flowers that pop up on these ones, but I really just kind of threw like 4 of them in here, hoping that they would eventually kind of crawl up all over these logs and things like that. And they seem to be doing okay so far. I've actually been spending a lot of time clearing this area out. So this is one of those, this is kind of a blank canvas that I'm not quite sure. I might actually put these raspberries over here in this space, but all of these logs right here were completely covered in leaves. And I pulled almost all of those right out of there. In addition to, I've run over the leaves with the mower a few times, but there's what I got left of that. And then, you know, a whole other pile of bonfire materials over here. But I noticed that this spot back here just gets a lot of really nice natural sun for a big portion of the day, so I wanted to kind of take advantage of that. One of the things that you're kind of missing out on in a forest garden like this is you're missing out on, you know, just those nice big bright open spots. So whenever you see a spot with, you know, kind of sun kissing the ground like you see down over there, and a little bit earlier in the day you'll actually see this whole area just kind of illuminated. Well, you know, I had to take advantage of all that sunlight. So we've got one more bed left over there, but before we get to that, let me show you the pond. It's looking better than ever. The water has finally cleared up as it's gotten a little bit older, a little bit more mature. I've gotten a lot more plants into the pond here, and I've got a lot more inhabitants. Let's see if I can find any for you. I got these nice floating plants in here. I've always wanted those things. Now I got them. Look, we've got 2 frogs over here hanging out. I've also got that cool looking floaty plant over there. I mean, just the whole pond has been, I've just been adding plants around there. This plant is brand new. I think I planted this on one of my videos. Maybe it was my greenhouse video. This one right here has been a bit of a slow grower for me, but you can see right on top all of that new growth, all of that kind of bright green stuff. I've got this Taiwan red Ixora little bush over here. I think this was probably a clearance or something, and I just grabbed it and threw it in beside the pond. You just missed it. But I had some beautiful flowers on these. I think they're lilies. It happens just like that, where you know, you get to enjoy that flower, and then the next time you come to the garden and look, it's all gone, and it's just a little leafy nub or something of what used to be. If you remember the canna plant from way back over there, these ones are almost exactly the same. You can see kind of the big tube that forms up like that, and then eventually what'll happen is you'll come in here and that will be a leaf like that. Got some little ornamental onions down here. I don't really know how well they're doing, but they seem to be hanging in. We've got our elephant ear over here. This is just doing fantastic. I just love how regal and how these things kind of, stand up at attention, show off their leaves. They've got these skinny little stalks, but they're not afraid to grow real high and kind of, flow out like that. I just love these plants. They're so special to me. I actually got another elephant ear waiting back in the greenhouse over there. I found it on clearance again today, so I love this one. And hanging out right under it, I just love this little guy. He just seems like an underdog to me. I love his spunky little attitude. He blends in a little bit with the grasses over here, but don't be fooled. If you look close, he's quite a bit different on the inside. I've got a couple more plants right over here in the bog that are new. I've got this little guy right here. I forget what you call it. I think it's like varicose or ventricated or something like that. This is a cool guy that gets to live right in the water. These are some of the first bog plants I put in when I actually got these from the wild, from another bog, and moved them over here. That right there, I think it's called a horsetail or something like that. And I just thought it's so cool. Look at the tip top right up there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's gonna have something that blooms. All right, any frogs want to say goodbye? Any croaking? No? You said your piece? Well, that's all we'll say about the pond. There's one more bed. Let's make our way over there. A couple little nice surprises in this bed today for you. We've got 2 blooms. This one's almost done, so we just made it. You're not getting to see it in its full majesty, but I mean, look at the color on that. Isn't that, what a pretty orange, huh? And then right over here, we've got another little bloom. It's called the indigo bed. And the reason that I call it the indigo bed is because whatever this is right here, well, I don't know how to say whatever this is because this is an indigo tree, or at least that's what the label at the garden center said. Let me show you the tiny little pretty pink flowers that are growing on this thing. So originally, this thing just didn't have the spread that it has right now. And I would even say it was probably about maybe to the top of that stick, maybe a little bit higher than that. But I mean, look at the way that the indigo is just kind of spread, and even almost to the top of my head there on the indigo. My favorite plant in the whole garden, and that's this one right here. You can kind of see it snaking its way through. I think I mentioned this in my last video too, but the coolest thing about this plant is, let me see if I can show you. You see how it's got these little roots that pop out. It's got these little roots that pop out along the way. So my idea with this plant right here is that I eventually want it to sort of snake all the way throughout the whole bed in there. So I'm seeing if I can't sort of, get it going in a direction. You see over here, we're about to get one of those new little leaf rolls. So this will pop open and this will create a brand new leaf just like this one. And then I'll be able to snake this a little bit further and we'll start rounding it around there. This little plant right here just kind of seems to be loving life. But besides that, doesn't seem to be doing too much, doesn't seem to be growing a whole lot. But it seems to be hanging out. I'm kind of hoping that this thing takes off and really starts to cover a lot of the ground in here. This is a banana shrub. I don't notice a whole lot of new growth on this one, but it seems pretty content where it is. Uruguayan firecracker. Oh, this is the firecracker plant right here. So I was told that these ones are going to have really pretty blooms. I haven't actually seen any of those yet. But what I have noticed about this plant is how fuzzy its leaves are. So, I don't know, sometimes I like coming over here and just kind of... These guys right here, they're doing good. All of this is new growth right in here. I'm not too crazy about these plants, to be honest with you. I'm not sure if this will be the place that they end up. But, they're just kind of hanging out for right now. This guy right here, I am pretty crazy about. I just love the way that he looks. And similar to our banana shrub over there, this guy is just kind of hanging out and doing his thing too. Keep looking for new growth. You can see a tiny little bit right in here in the center. But I think this guy's gonna end up being our slow grower. I don't think I mentioned our blackberry plants over here. At first I thought these blackberry plants weren't doing very good at all and they were having no growth. I made a video called how to make pretty darn good garden soil, and it seems like after I threw some of that garden soil on these guys, they just really took off in growth here, because I've got a whole lot of new stuff going on. We've even got the start of a blackberry over here. And who knows, like I said, I'm not real sure what I'm doing with the berries yet. They may end up somewhere in that kind of clearing that I showed you over there. But for right now, these blackberries, I'm pretty proud of how they've taken off in growth, particularly in the last week or so. Now to wrap this whole video up, I got a couple new plants. They're actually waiting in the greenhouse right there. So let's head inside and I'll show you what I got now. So you've seen these guys before. They all seem to be pretty content with life in the greenhouse. Not sure if this was on video or not, but I moved my strawberry plants in here. They didn't seem to be doing too good. They used to live in Dog and Jazz's bed right over there. And now they're living in the greenhouse, and they seem to be, I don't know, it's a little too early to tell, but they seem to be doing a little bit better than they were before. And isn't this thing cool looking? According to the label, this is some sort of a water resistant, almost like a cactus type plant. And this is called a Euphorbia tiracali fire sticks. So I just couldn't help but actually get this thing because it looked so cool. And this guy right beside it, a Portucaria afra, or an elephant bush. I love how these succulent plants have that sort of like alien vibe to them. And I wanted to get started, so I brought a couple of these into the greenhouse, and hopefully these two little guys will inspire me down a whole new rabbit hole of plants. So I've got a few more new guys right over here on the other side. I've got my clearance. Needs a little bit of TLC and love. Elephant ear over here. I think it was actually on clearance just because of this little guy, but you know, he's still doing good. And then right over here, I've got a lemony lace shrub. And I just sort of thought this one had a really cool kind of Japanese look to it. I thought it was kind of neat how it was hanging off like a bonsai like that. I don't quite have a hose that fits into the greenhouse. That's the one thing that's been annoying, is I have to kind of come in here with a water bucket. But the good news is, because this place isn't full of plants, you know, it takes less than one water bucket. But this is the start. It actually feels good. This greenhouse is, you know, less than a week old at this point, and we've already got, you know, kind of what my vision was, a nice variety of plants starting in here. Pretty darn good garden soil is what I call this stuff. And I actually made a whole video where I showed you how I made this and all of this. So I've been using this stuff all over the garden. Like I said, those blackberries over there, they really took off. Could have been just they need a little bit of that pooey compost to really push forward. Or it could be that my pretty darn good garden dirt is just as it says, it's pretty darn good. See, we saw Dog and Jazz's bed right there. That was the first one we went to. But we do have that extra plant to fill in where we moved the Mexican sage. So maybe we'll end the video by replanting that new plant. It's actually one I got today too, so I'll show you that one. We've got the blackberry bush back there. We've got the pond back there. We spent plenty of time at the pond. Over here, we've got our new clearing where all the logs are. We've got our I don't know what I called that one, the sunny bed back there. It's got one of our elephant ears, that large canna, the avocado tree, that purple queen that's just spreading all over the place. And then last but not least, right in the middle there, we have the indigo bed with one of my favorite plants that's sort of snaking its way through it, called the Swiss cheese right in there too. But overall, this is just kind of a chill little walkthrough. Like I said, this garden is only about a month old, and so far I'm already starting to listen to the plants. Those Mexican sage told me they wanted to be moved over there for whatever reason, so we'll fill their spot with some of this Fruitiglute stone crop right here. You see the maroon kind of stems in there? And I just thought that plant would look really cool here right beside dogwood. So I hope you enjoyed my garden tour. I hope you'll enjoy many more projects to come in this garden and more. And let's end this video by planting this new, what did I call it? So let's end this video by planting my Fruitiglute stone crop. right here beside Old Dog. Basically back to basics. You can say all sorts of things when you're using your good old-fashioned watering can. It's not too old-fashioned. It is made out of plastic. You can have some 2 strawberries. I'm hoping that we actually get some berries out of these strawberries now that I've moved them into the greenhouse. I know they're a little young for that still, but there we go. Water for all of yous. And since we didn't get to snip together before, maybe we'll do a little snip before we go too. There, nice and trimmed. And you knew I couldn't end without a little physical labor.